Hey everybody, it's me, Angel Benton, and it is time for another edition of Angel's Sudsy Recap, where we delve into the world of daytime television, and we do a few reality shows on the side for now. And one of those, so one of the daytime TV shows, I'm doing two online shows, right? I don't know, I think they're called digital daytime dramas or daytime digital drama, I don't know, whatever, but they're online shows. And this one I'm doing is called Eastsiders. And this was actually a really great episode. But before we get into Eastsiders, I've got to I came to this realization today. I totally thought about something because I was thinking, okay, let's rewind. So remember how I was talking about how crazy it was that Joey Graceffa couldn't remember something from 6 years ago? But I, on the other hand, I can remember shit from when I was like 6, right? Well, this time I was remembering, and I had forgotten this, so I'm not gonna lie. I had forgotten this. Some of the best work that I did in high school, because I really don't remember too much of high school. I really didn't care for high school that much, but some of the best stuff that I did was actually in my 9th grade English class. I know, it's crazy. But, and even though the teacher, you know, it's not like I was like, oh, she's so cool. She was just a regular teacher, but the assignments that she gave they always were the perfect venue for me to express my creativity. And I did a whole shit ton of great assignments for that class that I'll tell you about. I'm sure I'll be telling you about all of them, but there's one that came to mind today, and it just popped in my head today, and I don't know why, but it was a good memory. So the assignment was to find a how-to book and then create a game, a board game based on that how-to book, which was actually, it was a pretty genius idea. So I took it to the next level, because this was like in the early 90s. So the lambada was all the rage. Everyone was dancing the motherfucking lambada. It was everywhere. They were making movies about it. It was everywhere, right? So while the country was in the midst of lambada fever, I got a how-to lambada book, right? And so I created a board game that was kind of a take on Candyland, only it was called Lambada Land. It was actually really fierce because you would pull your cards and everyone would have a designated partner, and you would pull your cards and you would move your piece along, and the board was designed, it looked kind of like a globe, and it started off in Brazil where the lambada started, and then it went to France where it took off and became huge, and then finally ended up in the United States of America, specifically Los Angeles, because that's where I went to school. And then at every certain way along, there were certain parts along the way where you had to stop and pull a card from a different deck, and that was actually a how-to, so how to do a specific move on lambada. So then the two partners would get together, and then they would do the move. Oh my God, it was actually a genius game, and it was a lot of fun. And I remember there was this one kid, he was, I mean, he's my age, so he's like 44 now, but he looked like he looked younger than me. Like, and I looked like I was like 8. He looked like he was like 6. Like, he was like, but I think it was because he was shorter, and I remember he was a white boy with a Latin last name. God, I don't remember, but he was really cute, and he was straight, but he was really cute. And he danced with this girl who was like ridiculously tall, and he was just working it out with her. And I was like, this is it. This right here. This is what I'm talking about. It was great though. I loved that game. It was fierce. Okay, so sorry. I just felt like sharing all with you all. And that was what was going through my mind in 9th grade, right? I was like, how can I, do something different? I always want to be different. I never wanted to be like everyone else. I always want to be my own person. So, I really enjoyed that 9th grade English class. So anyways, let's talk about Eastsiders. So this was the best episode of Eastsiders, but it might be the best just because I am a gay person, so I get a lot of the humor that was in this episode that is kind of coded humor. So here I'm going to decode a little bit for you. So, there's two gay guys. Well, okay, wait, let's rewind. Okay, so today, Quincy, who previously I was like, he might be the only one with any redeeming qualities. Well, he assured me that he didn't today. So he picks up Ian. They go to have their, you know, bro time together. And then next thing you know, there's a date that shows up, and he's like, you know, and Quincy's all like, you know, it's my chaperone, you know, I met you online, you know, Craigslist killer, you know, and I'm just like, grow some balls, bitch. Really? You're going to have a, okay, whatever. And then he lets it slip that Kathy had an abortion because he took Kathy to the abortion clinic. Quincy did. So that's right before he picked up Ian, he dropped off Kathy at the abortion clinic. And Ian didn't even know Kathy was pregnant. So, of course, he's like, what? So, you know, there goes the likability points for Quincy. But the best part about this scene, and the reason why I'm going into this scene so much, is that this scene was hilarious because they kept talking about stuff like, for example, they were talking about Tina Fey. I forget what it was. They had some joke, and then they were talking about Tina Fey, and then this guy who looked, I mean, for this show, he kind of looked like a tweaker, so it made sense. He was like, you guys friends with Tina? And they're like, no. And then at the end, they were talking about party favors, and he goes, you guys have party favors? And he goes, no, Mexican lady, we don't have any roses, or we don't want any roses, whatever, right? So let's talk about this whole, because it was actually a fucking riot when you watched it live. So Tina is code for crystal meth, because that's what the gays call crystal meth. They used to call it crystal, then they used to call it Christina, and now they call it Tina. That's kind of the progression of crystal methamphetamine. So that's what they call crystal meth. FYI, I have never done Tina in my fucking life ever. And I will not ever try that shit ever. Because that's some serious bullshit right there. That will get you, you know. Booze, yeah, not so much. And besides, I waited until I was 40 before I had my first drink. 40 is the new 21. Okay, so that's what that whole bit about Tina Fey and are you friends with Tina? That was what that was. He was asking if they had any meth. And then they were talking about party favors, because I think they were talking about, Ian realizing that he's the age his father was when he was born and blah, blah, blah. And they go, well, let's throw a party. Yeah, I'll get the party favors. And then the guy's like, do you guys have party favors? And he's like, no, Mexican lady, we don't want any roses. Okay, so first thing, party favors equals drugs, right? So that was hilarious. Second of all, the Mexican lady and the roses thing. Okay, so there's this lady. I don't know if she's Mexican. She could be Guatemalan, Salvadorian, Honduran. I don't know, right? So that is an assumption. But she is a Latina lady. She's an older lady. And she goes up and down Santa Monica Boulevard selling rosas. Rosas? She was in one gay, it might have been an ad or something from like 10 years ago. She was in it. She was at the very end going, Rosas? She was great though. I love her. Anyways, Maria de las Rosas is what we call her. But there's an urban legend that if you ask for the white rose, she sells you cocaine. I've actually seen people ask her for the white rose and she goes, no, you know. So I think that's just an urban legend. But, you know, if you're not from LA, you would have no idea what he means when he says, all right, Mexican lady, we don't want any roses, you know. It's hilarious though. I was dying laughing. That was actually the best part. Okay, and then real quick, so we see that Tom is tending bar, and that's great because then I can at least see how they can afford how they live if they're both struggling. If he's a struggling writer and Cal's a struggling artist, how do they have a house in fucking Silver Lake of all places? So it makes sense because he's a bartender. He might bartend at a fancy bar or even a fancy gay bar and make lots in tips. So, okay, got it. Makes sense. Okay. Jeremy shows up and he gives a note to Cal, and then he gives a note to Tom, and then he says, give this one to Cal. He's like, Cal? Because Tom didn't even tell Jeremy Cal's name. So obviously, at that point, Tom realizes that Jeremy has slept with Cal. So then he picks up Kathy from getting an abortion because no one else picked her up. So she calls him, and, you know, they had this cute little moment where she says, you know, you're not the worst person in the world. Am I a bad person? And he goes, no, deep down, no. Excuse me. So he picks, as she's waiting in his car, she calls Cal and the phone goes through. Now, the reason why Cal didn't come get her and why Tom had to get her was because he was busy fucking his boss, who's been married for 10 years. Now, okay, how do you work for someone for any amount of time and not notice they have a wedding ring? Ever. Okay, so, you know, obviously he was okay with sleeping with him. And so, anyways, Kathy says on the phone, you're fucking your boss. And so that was 2 people that Cal has slept with that Tom was like. So I'm sure Tom is probably feeling like, what the fuck? Like, you know, because I guess in the book that he wrote, he said that his boyfriend or Cal was frigid. And obviously not if he's having sex with all these other people, so it must be something that Tom's doing, so he's wondering, well, what did I do? So, and all these people, they're just a whole lot of horrible. The only one that I really like is Ian. I really hate to say that, but it's true. The only one, I mean, I like Kathy, she's funny, and actually, oh my God, she's played by Constance Wu, and she does such a good job. Oh my God, she's so good. I hope she wins a fucking Oscar for Crazy Rich Asians. She is everything. I love her. Okay, anyways. Thank you so much for logging on today. I do appreciate it. Please feel free to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at Angel Benton. You can hashtag Eastsiders to talk Eastsiders, or you can also hashtag Bold and Beautiful to talk the Bold and Beautiful. I'm doing that next. And you can hit that subscribe button on my YouTube channel to get my YouTube videos sent to your email inbox every single day. Alrighty, everyone. Have a wonderful night. Peace out. Wubba, wubba, wubba.